Can someone tell me if you can see the PowerPoint presentation I'm sharing right now?
Kita po, sir.
Okay, so is it moving?
Yes po.
Okay, let's start. Okay, the practice of the profession is bound by one important. First, it was covered by Republic Act 9298. This is known as our Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004. It repealed Presidential Decree 692, known as our Revised Accountancy Law. So that was in 1975, the PD 692, and in 2004, we covered already the modifications and the revisions of the law covering the Republic Act 9298. Our objective here, guys, is to make our Filipino CPAs globally competitive. And global competitiveness can only be achieved if we will be able to address three important things in our accountancy practice. No? And I think these are the objectives of the Republic Act 9298 when they went with the idea of making our Filipino CPAs world-class or globally competitive. No? So these are the following, and I want them to be remembered by everyone. The first one that we should remember as regards our global competitiveness is the quality of our education in the Philippines. No? I think you would agree with me that we are able to now standardize and regulate our accounting education. So we're able to have CHED able to intervene on this behalf so that we're able to come up with our CHED memorandum order as regards how we will be able to regulate the accounting education in the Philippines. No, you would agree with me, guys, that there are three important things that we have to look upon when you talk about education in the Philippines, accounting education in the Philippines. The first one will be the integration subjects that are now being offered as part of the accounting education. The second one will be the internship. I think we have to allow our students to assimilate the environment to which they will be part of later after able to pass the SIPALE. And the third one that will probably make our school globally competitive is the research. No? So I think we're now allowing accounting students to undertake research studies so that they can probably try to present them not only here locally but also internationally. I think schools are now gauged whether they're considered world class or part of the good schools to cover if ever they have met the research requirements of the association of schools or universities, not only here in the Philippines but also worldwide. No? So I think three things must be remembered as regards accounting education. Number one will be integrative review. Second one will be internship. And the third one will be research. The next one that we should also try to relate into, when we cover the practice will be our registration of CPAs when we cover examination. So we are going to come up with a quality examination. So we have to have fair and credible CPA examination that will at least try to allow only those who will be qualified to cover the practice. When they probably undertake the examination, they should probably provide questions that will probably try to test students' ability to assimilate the environment that they're going to be part of later. And I think we've seen that this is now able to be a part of those 6 subjects that we will be taking upon. So I think questions now are able to relate to the actual practice of the profession. So I think it's important that the modules that we're going to talk about in the integrative review should probably also prepare you when you handle the CPAL examination. And the third one that will probably try to also affect the practice will be our accreditation. So meaning that we're now able to allow our 2 sectors. Actually, we have 4 sectors in the practice of the profession, and 2 of these sectors will require accreditation. I think these are your public practice, and the second one will be your education. I think in 2004 we allowed these public practitioners to cover accreditation when they provide engagement services to clients. And we also allowed in 2008 accountancy teachers to be accredited when they teach accounting or other accounting related subjects in the universities or schools they will be connected with. So actually, we also we also allow accreditation for commerce industry, but it was put hold in 2019. So therefore, we're not requiring anymore those in commerce industry to cover accreditation. But the one in the government sector is not yet covered with any accreditation from the start. So I think it is about time that we should now try to let all the sectors be accredited so that when we cover the practice, we'll be able to have a meaningful experience and 120 CPT units that we need to have for us to be covered as basic requirements for accreditation. I think the basic requirements for accreditation would be 3 years of meaningful experience, and the second one will be 120 CPT units that we need to earn for a 3 year period. So it will be at minimum 40 for each year, 40, 40, 40. So that means that we have to cover 120 CPT units when we accredit ourselves on those sectors which I mentioned as number one, public practice, and the second one will be education. So we're not yet covering the government yet, okay, to cover accreditation. And the second one, of course, okay, which was taken to be on hold was the commerce and industry. You know? So therefore, it is important to note that when I cover the term world class or globally competitive, it means that we have to address our education, our examination, as well as our regulation of the practice through accreditation. So let us talk about the four sectors that will affect our our profession of accountancy. The first one that I believe a majority of us will probably be able to indulge or cover, of course, the public practice. No? So therefore, if you're part of the public practice, you're able to act upon as either a sole proprietor, so that's an individual capacity, or you can be a partner in a partnership, or you can be a staff member working with the sole proprietor or a partnership. No? So this is taken as part of your accounting practice. So this is an accounting or auditing firm. You're able to hold yourself, okay, yourselves as one skilled in the knowledge, science, and practice of accounting, and as qualified person to render professional services as certified public accountant or offering or rendering or both to more than one client on a fee basis. So we're able to cover here on an audit fee basis. So this the mode of payment can be taken either as per diem or hourly rate. I think that's one mode we can charge our audit fee. The second one will be a maximum fee. We can also cover lump sum. We can also cover retainer fee. So there are four ways we can have our audit fees billed to our clients. No? And I think the most popular will be, of course, okay, the retainer fee, by which we're able to pay a staggered monthly basis and pay, of course, an additional amount when the auditor's report is issued to us. No? And I think everyone should remember that when we charge our audit fee to our client, okay, the basis of charging will be the fair reflection of the value of the work we're able to perform to our client. So that's our basis for charging our audit fee. The fair value of the work that we have done over to our client will be the basis of our billing of our audit fee. So remember that we're able to bill our client on an audit fee basis for services that may we be rendering, and this may cover any of the following services that you're looking upon right now. So number one will be audit or verification of financial transactions and accounting records will be a part of the assurance engagement. So as we mentioned, this is part of the assurance engagement. The second one that we're able to talk upon will be the preparation, the signing of certification for client of reports of audit. So therefore, this is another assurance engagement. So designing, installing, or reviewing and revising accounting system is a non-assurance engagement. We can also represent our clients before government agencies on matters related to accounting. And then we can also render professional assistance relating to accounting procedures and the recording and presentation of financial facts or data. So this is part of your management services that we can provide over to our client. And this is part of the non-assurance engagement. So remember that when we perform our engagements, this may range into whether they are falling under the assurance category or they're falling under the non-assurance category. No? In all cases, we're able to get audit fees for all those services that we're able to perform to our client. Remember that even if the client is able to pay us our audit fee, assuming that we're the audit firm, remember that our interest should probably be for the public. We will probably generate credibility from the reports that we're going to issue out. So remember, it is still the public interest that we should probably think over when we provide reports, to our client. No, that is not only the client, but also the public who will generate credibility from the report or the opinion that we have attached over the reports that we issued to our clients. So remember that thing, no? So we owe allegiance to the users of the financial statements who will be using the financial statements for their decision making, no? So this is how we look upon the practice. Remember that I'm not covering here corporation. So corporate form is not allowed as a form of business organization when we cover our accounting practice, because this is disallowed in our code of ethics. No? So in the 2018 code of ethics, our BOA, of course, PRC through BOA, modified the provisions of the code of ethics, to exclude corporation as a form of business organization. So we're only allowing two forms of business organization to exist in the Philippines. The first one would be, of course, our sole proprietorship, and the other one would be a partnership. So I would expect everyone that when they cover the practice, as part of the public, those who will engage, I think the best experience we have is to be part first of an audit firm, and then later on establish our own practice when we have already acquired experience, coming from a partnership, no? Because I think it will not be too good to start covering a sole proprietorship, business organization, if we have not assimilated first, the basis of how audit should be done. No? Although some of you may have already experienced it because you're part of, you're able to work, already as an apprentice, in an auditing firm, so you can see already how it works. So it depends upon how you will probably cover your practice when you become CPA, this year or next year, no? So remember the second, can I just be clear that when you're part of the practice of public accountancy, you're part of the ACPA. So this is the Association of CPAs in Public Practice, because all of us, when we become CPA, will be part of one big organization, and this is our PICPA. So PICPA stands for Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants, and this is our APO, or Accredited Professional Organization in the Philippines. So the APO that we're referring to here will be, of course, PICPA. And PICPA was able to be accredited by SEC. So SEC gave the accreditation to PICPA October 2, 1975 to be our APO. So what PICPA did is that PICPA was able to establish 4 sectoral organizations to cover the four sectors of the practice. And one of that is the one you're looking upon right now. So this is the one of Association of CPAs in Public Practice. No? So some of you may be interested to be part of this when you become CPA this year or next year. The second one will be covered when we be part of big companies in the Philippines. So this will be a multinational corporations. It can be a medium corporations that we can be part of, or even small companies, or we call it small companies. We're able to exercise our professional knowledge in the science of accounting, as well as the accounting aspect of finance or taxation. So I think if you would compare, of course, commerce and industry with the public practice, of course, this one will be paying high as compared with the public practice, because this is where we're probably able to cover multinational corporations, able to give us good salary package. No, but getting the experience with the public practice will give us, of course, okay, with of course good pay later on when we now transfer to from public to commerce and industry. No? So you're able to represent this target employers. So it is not anymore you're not providing services to client, you're providing services to your respective employers. And we're not getting audit fee anymore. We're going to get our salaries and remuneration for covering those services to our employer. No? And we're able to represent our employers before government agencies on tax and other matters related to accounting. And what is important about also in the practice of commerce in this is that okay, our employment or position requires our position, okay, to be vested by a certified public accountant. So therefore, we have to be a CPA, and we're able to involve ourselves on those important activities, such as number one, we're able to supervise the recording of financial transactions. So that would be one thing that we can do upon when we become part of the commerce and industry. We're able to prepare financial statements. I think the third one relates to the internal auditors. The internal auditors are able to coordinate with external auditors for financial statement audit. So remember that what we are covering here as coordination would be, of course, the internal auditors of the corporations. No? So they're able to coordinate with external auditors for FS audit. Remember that when we cover the position of this position to be vested by a CPA, we're covering those entities, okay, whose business or company are able to have a paid up capital of at least 5 million. So remember that the paid up capital should be at least 5 million and or, meaning that it can be and or annual revenue of at least 10 million, provided that it should apply to persons to be employed after the activity of the implementing rules and regulations. So it was taken in 2004 for those who were able to occupy the post and they're not certified public accountant. We are not going to deprive them of their employment. No? So what the law intends is that if ever these non-CPAs would now be out of the company because they're able to retire or resign or able to be terminated, okay? So we will be allowing the next set of people to occupy those posts that are vacated by these people who are able to retire or be terminated to be a certified public accountant. So we're not allowing anymore a non-CPA to occupy a position in accounting where they're covering these important activities when the paid up capital is at least 5 million and or the annual revenue is at least 10 million. So we are now requiring those who will run over this accounting department to be certified public accountant. But as I mentioned a while ago, for those who are able to occupy those posts before the law took into effect in 2004, we're not going to deprive them of their employment. But if ever they will be out of the company already, so then we can probably try to allow them, okay, to the company to now put, okay, certified public accountants to occupy the post. No? So remember the importance of able to have certified public accountants able to do accounting functions for the entity is part of the governance function. I think you would agree with me, guys, that corporate governance requires that the entity should be able to put the right people to do the right job, okay, covering, okay, its, okay, companies, no? So I think its company should probably be manned by qualified people, and that can only be covered if we allow certified public accountant to occupy the position. No? So this is part already of the ACPAC. So this is Association of Certified Public Accountants in Commerce and Industry. So some of you may be interested to work on this. So I would expect that we have a mix of those who will want to be part of the public practice and part of the commerce and industry. No? And a third one, which I believe some of you may be interested to be part of in the future, will be the education or academic. But let me remind everyone that for you to cover this post, okay, or this particular thing, you have to be, of course, accredited, just like the public practice, no? And one important requirement for you to be accredited here is that you have to be a masteral graduate. So you can undertake additional graduate school learning that you have to get into so that you can probably cover the sector of education. So this is part of the NACPAE, so National Association of Certified Public Accountants. So you're able to be a part of an educational institution which involves teaching of accounting, auditing, management, advisory services, accounting aspect of finance, business, law, and taxation, and other related subjects. So this will include accounting information system, auditing the IT system, because we allow certified public accountants, okay, to teach these particular subjects, okay, that are offered in the accountancy program, provided that the members of the IBP or the Integrated Bar of the Philippines may be allowed to teach law and taxation subjects. So we are allowing members of the IBP to teach law and taxation, provided further that the position of either the dean or the department chair or its equivalent that supervises the Bachelor of Science in Accountancy program of an educational institution is deemed to be in practice of accountancy in the academe or education, and therefore must be occupied only by certified public accountant. So that's how we are able to put emphasis that education and academe will require accreditation, and that the one that is able to supervise the BSA program of this educational institution should also be a certified public accountant. So therefore, some of you may be interested to be part of this sectoral representation in education and academia. Okay, so remember that what is important is you have to take your graduate school, because it's one of the requirements that we need, okay, to undertake for you to be part of the education or academe, no? Education or academe for that matter, no? So the last one is covered by GAPA. So this is Government Association of CPAs. So when we're part of the Government Association of CPAs, we're able to be able to hold or is appointed. So some of us may be appointees to the position in an accounting professional group in government or in a government-owned and controlled corporations, so GOCC, including those performing proprietary functions. So this is going to be asset management, For example, treasury functions, okay, that may probably be vested to different, CPAs in different government agencies where decision making requires professional knowledge in the science of accounting. And remember that civil service eligibility as a certified public accountant is a prerequisite, but passing the CPA exam together with those who pass the bar exam may waive us from that requirement. No? But I would ask you guys that if you're going to pick your Sipale next year or this year, and there's an opportunity for you to take the civil service examination, I think it would be better if we take our civil service professional examination because it's another examination that we can probably be an advantage on our part if we're going to be given, okay, of course, a week in our ranking. So I think that would be a good point system that we can probably work upon. No? So I think some of you may be interested, okay, to be part of a government, and I think being both a civil service eligible at the same time a certified public accountant will be an add-on for you, no? Rather than just only be a certified public accountant. No? And I think it is just important for us to take another national exam, government exam, because when we are rated upon, this will probably add points to us. No? So those who will be part of the government sector would be part of the GACPA. So we have the GACPA, we have the NACPA-E, we have the ACPAP, and the ACPA-C. All of these are four sectoral organizations, okay, created by our BOA, okay, to assist the board in I don't know that is the board, to assist PICPA. I mean, so it should be PICPA, to assist PICPA, which is our APO in the coverage of its functions. No? So the second area that we're going to talk about will be the area of your professional regulatory board of accountancy. So this is the body that was created by our PRC, the Professional Regulation Commission. So our PRC, together with the other professions, I think we almost have around, if I'm not sure, around 46 professions in the Philippines, which includes accountancy. So therefore, we're able to allow the PRC to have one respective board for each profession that we're able to cover. Okay, and we're able to have our BOA to cover our accounting profession. No? So our board of accountancy is composed of 7 members, so 1 chair, and 6 members, all appointed by the President of the Republic of the Philippines. So it's the President who appointed the members of the board, okay, which consisted of a chair and 6 members. So it's a 7-member body from a list of 3 recommendees ranked by PRC. So the 3 recommendees are ranked by PRC, and these are nominated by PICPA. So PICPA makes the nominees, at least 5 nominees, when there is vacancy that is able to affect, okay, the board. So we have 5 nominees, and these 5 nominees will be shortlisted to 3 recommendees that will be ranked by PRC to be given to the office of the president, for the office of the president to select who will be our next chair or next member of the board. So the term of office for these members will be 3 years. So that will be 1 term equivalent to 3 years, renewable for another term. So that means that they can be renewed for another 3 more years. So there's another term, and when the president will still want them to continue the service, so they have to have a lapse of 1 year after 2 terms. So 2 terms, then we have to have a lapse of 1 year, and we can cover 2 more terms. That will probably be allowed. So our maximum number of years that we can serve the board will be 12 years or 4 terms. 4 terms or 12 years. So meaning that this is the length of time we can probably be of service to the accounting profession. So this is what we have to at least remember. So these are the members of the board. Okay, Rosalita the Evangelista passed away, so therefore there's now a vacancy that we need to fill in. Okay, so that I will be able to allow the board. So right now we're able to have the following personalities. Okay, able to affect our SIPALE. Okay, this year. And then assuming that another member will come into the picture, so let's just wait, will be appointed to be the next member of the board. So we have Dr. Noe Pinenyoda, so that's our chairperson. Honorable Samuel B. Padilla will be our vice chair. Honorable Gloria D. Baisa is also a member of the board. Dalma S. Ciudadano is part also of the member of the board. We have Gervasio Piator, Honorable Piator, and also Honorable Maria Teresa Zuniga de Maculahan. All of these they make up our Board of Accountants. So what are the important things that we have to remember upon when we cover the practice? Okay, of course, when we cover the board, membership. Okay, remember that we have to remember the following qualifications of the members of the board. Number one must be natural born citizen and resident of the Philippines. I'm putting the word "and." So you have to be both natural born and resident of the Philippines, when you want to be part of the PR BOA. Number two, you must be a duly registered certified public accountant with at least 10 years of work experience. So we're talking about any scope of practice of accountancy, which would include public, commerce, government, or education. So you would see, guys, that when we have the list of the members of the board, you see how we're able to distribute the membership to different sectors. It's not only covering the public practice, but also giving weight to those in commerce, education, and government to be represented in the board. So that when they provide questions over in the CIPANE, they will probably try to be a representative of all the four sectors that we're going to be part of later. So meaning that we have to have at least 10 years of work experience in any scope for us to be part of the member of the board. You must be of good moral, you must have good moral character, and must not have been convicted of crimes involving moral turpitude. You must not have any pecuniary interest. So pecuniary would be financial interest in any school, college, university, or institution offering academic degree. And you must not be a director or officer of APO at the time of your appointment. So meaning that if you are part of the PICPA, then you have to resign from PICPA and cover the position offered to you in the Board of Accountancy. No? So I think you cannot serve two masters at the same time. No? So meaning that we have to at least choose whether we're going to be part of the Board of Accountancy or part of the APO or our PICPA, which is Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants. So remember, these are the qualifications of the members of the board. For those who will be appointed as members of the board, you have powers and functions that we have to at least cover. Okay, in our, of course, in our assumption of the position. So number one, we're able to prescribe and adopt the rules and regulations necessary for carrying out the provisions of this act. So this would be both the responsibility not only of the Board of Accountancy, but also of the PRC as well. So this will be both PRC and BOA as well. We're able to supervise the registration, licensure, and practice of accountants in the Philippines. So that's another important function of the board. So I think this is the one that we're able to have when we're able to pass the CIPALE for us to be registered, and we're able to allow also them to administer oath in connection with the administration of this act. So I think we're back to the usual face-to-face oath taking. I think the last oath taking they had was at Manila Hotel. No? So I think before it used to be at PICC. There was one time it was held at MOA, but I think it's not. Looking over the experience of COVID in that one at MOA is not that good as compared with PICC and Manila Hotel. So I think it's important that we just allow, okay, a good venue that will probably give us, okay, of course, a formality of the affair that we're going to cover into. No? So therefore, some of you may be looking upon the idea of able to be having your oath taking, okay, with the members of the board, okay, sooner, okay, as expected. So we're just going to pray that this will be our time for us to pass as and also cover the practice in any of those 4 sectors. No? We're able to adopt an official seal of the board. We're able to monitor the conditions affecting the practice of accountancy in the Philippines. We're able to issue, suspend, revoke, or reinstate the registration, certificate of registration for the practice of accountancy. So this will be actually the final thing here will have to be covered by the PRC. So we are just only recommending, okay, because I think it is important to note that the PRC cannot revoke our COR or our license if it will not be approved by the Board of Accountancy, because the Board of Accountancy is the administrative body of the board as regards accountancy. We're able to prescribe and adopt a code of ethics. We're going to talk about them as well, okay, for our regulatory framework. So we're going to talk about the importance of the code of ethics. No? We're able to conduct an oversight into the quality of audits of financial statements through a review of the quality control measures. We're able to investigate violations of this act and the rules and regulations promulgated hereunder, and for this purpose, to issue summons to violators. No? To issue a cease or desist order to any person, association, partnership, or corporation engaged in violation of any provision of Republic Act 9298, any accounting or auditing standards promulgated by the board. So it's always important to note, guys, that we have so many powers and functions that we're able to assume when we cover the position. These are still additional that we can look upon, so to punish for contempt of the board, both direct or indirect, in accordance with the pertinent provisions of and penalties prescribed by the rules of the court. We're able to prepare. I think we have already covered the latest syllabi, okay, that will affect the subjects of our CPALE. I think this has been in consultation with the academe, determine, okay, and prepare the questions for the licensure examination, as well as administer, correct, and release the results of the licensure examination. We're giving them 10 days after the last examination that we're able to take to release, okay, the results of the licensure examination, unless extended for just cause. To ensure, in coordination with the Commission on Higher Education or other authorized government offices, that all higher educational instruction and offering of accountancy, including accounting review centers and or CPD providers offering accounting seminars, comply with the policies, standards, and requirements of the course prescribed by Commission of Higher Education or other authorized government officer of CPD Council, as the case may be. So I think you see how important, okay, the members of the board in our practice of the profession, because they're the ones who will provide us with all of these things, okay, when we're able to practice our profession. So who can remove or suspend the member of the board? If it's the president who appointed them, it is only the president that can remove them. So remember that the suspension and the removal of the members of the board can only be covered by the President of the Philippines. And what are the reasons why we are going to suspend or remove member of the board. Here are the reasons why. Let's cover them one by one. Number one would be neglect of duty or incompetence. So we cannot allow negligence, gross negligence or incompetence, okay, to cover our practice. So therefore, when you violate or tolerate, so intolerance will be different from tolerance. So when you tolerate violation, I think that will probably allow you to be suspended or removed as member of the board. But when you so cover intolerance, that will not allow you to be removed of your post. No? So meaning that there's a final judgment of crimes involving moral turpitude. So you may be sued, but unless otherwise there is no final resolution coming from the court, you're still not going to be removed of the post. But once a final judgment was already been provided, okay, by the court, then that might be a reason for you to be taken out of your post as member of the board. And when you manipulate or rig in a CPA examination in the examination of questions, okay, prior to the conduct of said or tampering of grades, that we also try to remove you from the post. Remember that what we are looking right now is that we're using now the optical mark reader. So meaning that all our examinations are administered using this particular input device. I think it will be very hard for the member of the board or any member of the board to change the codes so that it will just only favor one candidate, because I think it's very hard, okay, to cover, okay, this. But there's a possibility, why not? But I think the chances of able to cover that would be minimal as compared before when the examination questions are checked manually by them. So this may be another issue that we can probably try to compare with the one we're going to have. During my time, okay, the examination was taken as manually checked. Okay, during that time, we're provided with essay questions, okay, that were covered as part of our auditing exam. So we're asked to prepare the auditor's report. We're able to provide questions, what type of opinion we can provide a certain condition. And like in this case, we're just only covering them using the multiple choice type. No? So things change. No? During our time in our auditing practice, we're able to prepare really a working paper that will probably give us, okay, those balances that will probably be our answers to the questions that will be provided. Like now, we're just only providing, okay, students, okay, with choices taken as A, B, C, D, and then we're just giving them short cases or caselets that they can probably answer, okay, using them. So I think that's how it changed from manual to computerized, because in computerized we just limited the multiple choice type, now which are now, of course, okay, getting over what technology now brings us now. Okay, that in other countries they also covering the computerized, okay, computerized examination that we're able to cover. No? So that's something that we have to at least ponder upon, okay, when we probably think. Okay, in other countries like in US, you cannot when you pass a CPALE here in the Philippines, okay, doesn't mean that you can practice, okay, in the US, okay, your profession. So I think we can practice that one with other Asian member countries that have signed the MRA, Mutual Recognition Agreement, that allows, okay, of course, a Filipino CPA to practice in the country if they're considered to be Asian recognized CPAs. I think we have to at least still manage to apply for an Asian recognition if we want to practice accounting not only here but also in other member countries in the ASEAN nation. No? But in US, you have to take, okay, the IPA examination, and that would be by state. Okay, so it means that if you pass, okay, one state, that doesn't mean that you can practice in another state. So it's still regulated, okay, by different states. No? In other countries, they don't also recognize our becoming a Filipino citizen in other countries. Say, for example, in Europe, okay, or probably other countries like Canada or Australia, we have still to take, okay, chartered examination that is provided by these countries, okay, when you cover the professional practice. No? So it's really your idea whether you're going to practice in the Philippines or just going to move out of the Philippines and do the practice, okay, elsewhere. So I think this is your design how you probably will cover the practice. No? But what is important, okay, take the CPALE first year. I think those who just finished the BSA but did not take the CPALE exam, I think there's no way you can probably find out whether you really had covered, okay, the degree. I think if it's going to be a BSA, it's important that we have to take the CPALE exam in the Philippines so that we can probably find out whether we have covered, okay, the degree itself. No? So there will be five important bodies that we will be talking about. Okay, when we talk about, okay, the uh, the board of accountancy created five bodies. Okay, that will assist, okay, the board in its conduct of activities. One of that will be the FSRSC. So that will be our Financial and Sustainability Reporting Standards Council. So the new name we have for the FRSC before. So we're just able to add sustainability because right now, guys, it is important that we're not only getting over the financial statements of the entity, but we're also able to allow them to prepare reports. Okay, that is part of the sustainability reporting reports that are covered by everyone, not only in the Philippines. So this will talk about your environment, your social and governance activities that we have to disclose in our annual report. No? So this is something that we have to at least look upon, okay, when we cover the practice. No? So I think sustainability reporting covers those areas. They call it the triple bottom line, okay, that are able to cover the environment, the social, and the governance aspect of the company. No? So it's not only the FS that we have to look upon. Okay, when we now try to find out whether it's worth investing in a company, we also have to look over the sustainability reports of those companies. No? So this is our accounting standard setting body. It is composed of 18 members. So this is the new one we're following right now with the chairperson who had been or previously a senior accounting practitioner in any scope of accounting practice. No? And 17 representatives will come from the following organizations. No? You would note that we have one representative from the Board of Accountancy, two from the Securities and Exchange Commission, one from the BSP, one from the BAR. And if you look upon letter D, a major organization composed of preparers and users of the financial statement, we can have our FINEX, Financial Executives of the Philippines, or Philippine Association of Management Accountants, or PAMA. So we have one from the Commission and Audit, okay, two from the Insurance Commission. So this is the latest addition, the Insurance Commission. And then we have 8 representations coming from our APO, no? 2 from the ACPAP, 2 from the ACPAC, 2 from the NACPAE, and 2 from the government. So the term of office of this FSRSC will be 1 term equivalent to 3 years. So the maximum number of terms that we can be part of these councils, okay, including the other councils which I will be mentioning later, will be 2 terms, 1 term equivalent to 3 years. No? So that the maximum number of years you can probably cover would be 6 years. No? Except for the PRC-CPD Council, which is coterminous. Now, all these 4 bodies, let me just cover them. FSRSC, we have the ASC, Auditing and Assurance Standards Council. We also have your Education Technical Council, that's the ETC, that's the 3rd one. The 4th one would be the Quality Review Committee. That's the 4th body that was created by the board, of course, upon approval of the PRC. And then the last one will be the PRC-CPD Council. So let me repeat again the 5 bodies. Number one, we have the FSRSC, we have the AASC, we have the ETC, we have the QRC, and we have the PIC-CPD Council. So these are the five bodies that were created by the PIC through board to the board of accountancy. So we have 17 members here, guys, and then for the ESC we also have 18 members, and then with the chairperson and been previously a senior practitioner in public accountancy, and 17 representatives coming from the following organizations. So you note, guys, that the Board of Accountancy, the SEC, the BSP, the Commission and Audit and Insurance Commission will be also present on the other one, except that this one will not include the Bureau of Internal Revenue, to which the other one is able to include the fact. So can you just check on that one? So we have one from BIR, but here we don't have BIR in the ASC. So we have an active association of active public practice of accountancy, one from the Commission and Audit, one from the Insurance Commission, and then we have 11 representations coming from the APO, taken on the ACPAP, ACPA-C, and the NACPA-A. So we have 911, making that covered as 11. 11 plus 6 makes them 17, plus 1 chair, making them 18. So this is also similar to the other body that we talked about a while ago, and that will be the FSRSC. No? So the next body that was also created by the PIC to the board, through the board, okay, was the ETC. So we call that one our Education Technical Council, and I think everyone, okay, will be clear that this is created by the PIC upon the recommendation of the board. It assists the board in the attainment of objective of continuously upgrading the accountancy education in the Philippines to make the Filipino CPAs globally competitive. So that's something that we have to remember upon. No? We want our Filipino CPAs to achieve global competitiveness. No? It's composed of 7 members. So this will be covered with a chairperson, and the chairperson will be presently a senior accounting practitioner in the academe or education, and 6 representatives coming from the following organizations. So let's list those organizations, okay, that will make up our ETC. Number 1 would be the Board of Accountancy. So we have 1 member of the board. And then we have 5 representations coming from the APO, meaning that when you talk about the APO representations, of course, the most number that would be represented here will be the academe or education. So we have 2 from the academe, and then we have 1 from the public practice, 1 from the commerce and industry, and 1 in the public. So that makes it equal to 5, okay, plus 1 who is acting as our chairperson, and that will be a practitioner in accounting or education. The term of office would be 3 years, renewable for another term of 3 years. And what are the functions that we are able to have our ETC2 cover? Number 1, it was able to determine the minimum standard curriculum for the study of accountancy to be implemented in all schools offering accountancy as an undergraduate degree. It is able to establish teaching standards, including the qualifications of the members of the faculty of schools and colleges of the accountancy, monitor the progress of the program on the study of accountancy, and undertaking measures for the attainment of high-quality accountancy education in the Philippines, and evaluate periodically the performance of educational institutions offering accountancy education. So let's just talk the last segment before we take our break. Okay, so I'll just try to talk about the SIPALE examination, and then later we'll talk about the other provisions of the law. Okay, so when we talk about examination, registration licensure. So we're talking about the CPALE. So this is our certified public accountant examination. So what are the qualifications that will allow you to take our Philippine Accountancy Board, Philippine Accountancy examination? So one will be, of course, you have to be a Filipino citizen regardless of residency. So we're not talking about residency here, but we're talking about Filipino citizen. So regardless whether you are natural born or you're able to get your citizenship by swearing an oath. Okay. So what is important here is that you have to produce your Philippine Statistics Authority birth certificate. So we're requiring everyone to get your PSA certificate, okay, of live birth, okay, that will have to be presented as part of the requirement when you take the CPALE. You have to be a good moral character. I think everyone is able to exhibit that one. You have to be a holder of the degree of BSA conferred by school, college, academy, or institute duly recognized and or conferred or accredited by CHED or other authorized government offices. They have not been convicted of any criminal offense involving moral turpitude. So meaning that these are important things that we have to remember upon when we cover our examination. These are the documents that you need to submit. I think you can cover the submission to any satellite office of the PIC. Okay, I think PIC is back already at this place, Moraita. So you can probably try to get also your notice of admission when you submit all these documents to the PIC office, head office. No? We have our marriage contract in PSE security paper will only affect the female candidates. So this will not affect the male candidates. So those who will be married, before they take the CPAL exam, shall also produce this particular document for submission. College diploma, baccalaureate, transcript of records with an indication therein of your date of graduation and special order number unless it is certified. Of course, if you're already autonomous, that means you're not anymore able to provide already special order number. Yeah? So NBI would be also needed. So I think the NBI will be for general use because it would apply to all whether you're taking examination or not, and other documents that the board may require. So this would include your community tax certificate, your 2x2 ID picture, and a government issued a photocopy of government issued ID so that they can refer the picture over in the government issued ID. So I think these are important things, and what is going to be important when you're able to cover examinations, the payment of the examination fee. I think that will be less than 1,000. So I'm not sure about the exact amount, but that will cover less than 1,000, excluding those doc stamps, including the metered stamp envelope that we'll need to cover when we apply for the CPAL. So that would be given. So these are the subjects that will probably try to matter a lot when you take your CPAL. Number one, we have the regulatory framework for business transactions. We have our taxation. We have our management services. We have our auditing. We have our financial accounting and reporting. And then advanced financial accounting and reporting. So these are the 6 subjects affecting our CPAL. So for you to pass the CPAL exam, you have to have a weighted general average of 75%, no grade lower than 65% in any given subject. So no grade lower than 65. The conditional will be a weighted average of 75% and above in at least majority. So we're talking about 4 of those subjects. So because the majority of the subjects right now will be 4, given it's going to be 6. 6 that we're able to take. No? And a failed will be a weighted average of below 75%. So the report of rating shall be submitted to the PRC, a Professional Regulation Commission, 10 days after the examination unless extended for just cause. Those who will fail the CPAL exam, fail to complete CPAL exam shall be disqualified from taking another set of examination unless he or she enrolled in and completed at least 24 units of subject given in the licensure examination. So our school is, of course, able to provide this CPA refresher that we can probably try to cover so we can get a transcript of records that we're able to comply with the requirement of the PRC. No? So the oath taking that we're going to get will be from those members of the board, or any government official authorized by the PRC to administer our oath upon presentation of proof of his or her qualification prior to entering upon the practice of the profession. These are the two documents that we have to remember upon. So the first one will be a certificate of registration, and the second one will be a professional identification card. A COR is issued once in our lifetime, but the PIC is going to be renewed every after 3 years. Can I just be clear, guys, that when you pass the SIPALE this year or hopefully next year, you're going to be accepted in your first renewal cycle of your accredited CP units, because we need 15 CPD units for us to be able to cover our renewal. But passing the board for the first time will waive you from that requirement. And then, of course, you have to earn 15 units thereafter your first renewal. No? So you shall bear the signature of the chairperson of the commission and the chairperson and members of the board, including that person named therein, is entitled to the practice of the profession with all the privileges pertinent. Actually, when you read the CORs, taken to be Tagalog, ikinalulugkod ng lupot na ito na igawad sa inyo ang titulong accountant, may bilang number. I think the number now will now be 200,000 above, because we almost have 200,000 Filipinos CPAs today. No? So that will be a part of your COR. The PIC is the ID that you're able to present. I think we can now allow a virtual ID to cover. I think an e-ID is now acceptable in the practice of our profession. So every time we sign our document, we have to include the following: our COR, our PIC, and PTR. So the PTR will be a professional tax receipt. Then we're able to include our the validity it was issued where, and then of course the PTR number that we're able to be accounted. So these are reasons when the board will refuse you to cover your COR and PIC. So number one, convicted by a court of competent jurisdiction of criminal offense involving moral turpitude or guilty of immoral and dishonorable conduct. Second one would be a person of unsound mind. So this will be initially our topic for this first half of the session. So I will just try to to cover the second part. Okay, we request everyone to turn on the webcam so I can facilitate whether everyone's still around before we take the break. So we have around 50 participants. So I'm getting a screenshot in the middle of our engagement before I take the break. Para at least I have a counting of the attendees for this session. So far, everyone is able to understand the first part of our discussion, which covered the examination and also the organization itself. No? Okay, the uh, the body that was able to task to provide our license. No? So this is the PRC and the Board of Accountants. So let me get the screenshot of the attendance. No? All of you are taking the class online, no? And I suppose that 50 is taking the online mode, no? Okay. How's it, guys? Ayaw nyo pa rin mag face-to-face? Ayaw nyo pa rin na pumunta ng school? Talagang choice nyo talagang online? Okay. Because some of you by still station, no? I don't know, natapos kayo ng course yata, puro online lahat, no? So just find out what will be the effect of online when you take the CPALE, no? Parang all throughout yata online na kayo, no? Tama ba? May nakapag face-to-face pa ba sa inyo from the start? May mga basic accounting, meron pa. Pero parang lahat ng major subjects nyo, lahat online. So titingnan natin ang effect niyan, okay, next year or this year, kung talagang may effectivity pa talaga o effective pa rin pa ba online, okay, as a mode of no? Kasi parang titingnan natin kasi pag online kasi matataas ang mga natin, okay, but at any point kung matataas dito sa actual, siguro that will be a big way for us to pwede naman pala online all throughout, no? Okay, sige. So we'll take a break. So I'm getting a screenshot of that attendees, no? Yung iba hindi kapag open ng webcam, no? But at any point, we cannot get the full screen, no? Kasi parang dami natin ngayon. So one muna ako at a time. One panel muna ako. Okay. And another panel will cover me. Sige. So we'll take a break for 15 minutes. Okay, we can probably be back after 15 minutes. Okay. Okay, you cannot turn off your webcam kasi now try to also turn off. Okay, mine. Suspended or revoked of our certificate of registration. The first one would be unprofessional or unethical conduct. So meaning that any provisions of the ethical framework that will be our code of ethics, this may be a ground for us to be suspended or revoked of our license. No? The second one is malpractice, when you allow somebody to sign or you're able to sign for report that you're not able to cover audit. Now, I think there are some instances that we saw in the government hearings that there were certified public accountants who were asked upon to testify, and they were able to provide testimonies that they had not even had seen the entities inventoriable items, and they signed reports covering this amount of inventoriable items when no inventory test count was taken by them, or even they were able to sign for financial statements. They have not even able to audit or verify or validate those balances indicated thereat. No, I think we saw that one in the family hearing, that we're able to have last time, and I probably had accounted that a certified public accountant was called upon, to validate all those balances indicated in the FS, and then she claimed that this is only signed the financial statements without able to cover a risk-based audit, for that particular entity. Now, I think it's important that when we sign, reports, covering audit, it meant that we have covered that audit. I think it's been a practice of some to sign only for auditor's report and then let somebody do the preparation of that report for them, and they only get a certain amount of money for every time they sign an auditor's report. Okay, right now it's the tax season, and we see there's so many sole proprietors. I think the one that we're looking upon here are the sole proprietors who are able to get a bulk of auditors' reports signed by them without doing any audit at all because somebody did that for them. I think this is something that would probably have to be questioned about the quality of the audits that we have, auditors' report that we have here in the Philippines, because we've seen so many companies are able to get auditors' report for which they were not able to cover, auditors were not able to cover a full scale audit. I think that's something that we have to at least look upon. No? And then any violation of any provisions of Republic Act 9298 will also be a basis for us suspending and revocation of the license. No? When our license will be suspended or revoked, we can probably still cover asking the PRC, of course, to reinstate our revoked or lost certificate. The board may, after the expiration of 2 years, take note of that, 2 years from the date of your revocation and for reasons deemed proper and sufficient, reinstate the validity of a revoked certificate of registration. And in doing so, may in its discretion exempt the applicant from taking another CPA examination. I think it's important that we have to reform, and upon that reformation, we can probably ask the PRC. Of course, that should be coming from the recommendation of the BOA for us to be able to have our revoked certificate able to be given back to us and allow us to reinstate the professional practice of accountancy. So we can only allow 2 forms of business organization to exist in the Philippines, and I think the first one will be single practitioners or sole proprietorships, and the second one will be partnerships. No, so what will be important here is that we're not allowing corporate form of business organization to exist in our Philippine practice. No, although in other countries they allow corporations to exist as a form of business practice. No? So when we talk about meaningful experience, because this will be important in covering our CPD requirements when we cover our accreditation as well in the public sector and education, I think meaningful experience will be utilized as one criterion, one of those criteria, and this is one criterion that we have to look upon. And this will talk about your 3 years meaningful experience. So it's going to be actually it's going to be cumulative, not necessarily continuing. So hindi mo kailangan na succeedingly you're able to cover that continuously for 3 years. You can probably have this a leave, for example, and that will not be counted on you. So when you resume your post, that's when the counting comes back again. So that's going to be cumulative. No? For commerce and industry, you have to have a significant involvement in general accounting, budgeting, tax administration, internal auditing, liaison with external auditors, representing your employers before government agencies on tax and other matters related to accounting or any other related functions. No? For academe and education, you can have teaching for at least 3 terms or 2 SEMs that will be equivalent to 1 year in subjects covering financial accounting, business law, management services, auditing, and other related subjects. For the government, you may have significant involvement in general accounting, budgeting, and tax administration, internal auditing, liaison with commission and audit, or any other related functions. No? But what is important for me, guys, is that the public practice. You have to have 1 year as audit assistant and at least 2 years as auditor in charge, covering full-scale audit, covering significant clients. I think this is the most commonly provided question. So we have 1 year as audit assistant and at least 2 years as auditor in charge, covering full audit functions. So remember that part of the provision of the Republic Act 9298 relates to the ownership of working papers. So remember that the working papers are known as our audit documentation. So remember that there's one provision here that states that all working papers, schedules, and memoranda made by a certified public accountant and his staff in the course of an examination, including those prepared and submitted by client, incident to, or in the course of examination by such certified public accountant, exempt. So we're not including here auditor's report submitted by a CPA to a client. So remember that what will be included in the working papers are those schedules and memoranda that we're able to prepare, and all those schedules that were provided to us by the client staff. Meaning that the auditor's report, okay, will be not included that act. So this is something that we submit to our client. And remember that we have to consider the rules of confidentiality as regards, okay, these working papers. No? So meaning that no information can be divulged by a certified public accountant for his benefit or for a benefit of a third party without the client's consent, either oral or written. So we're giving the client, of course, okay, that authority, okay, whether we can disclose this information to a third party. Okay, so we have to consider the written or oral consent, okay, for that matter. No? So remember that we're treating all the information as privileged, okay, communication, and nothing will have to be taken out, okay, by us, okay, without the client's consent. That's a general rule that we have to follow. But there will be exceptions that we have to look upon here. That even if, okay, this is the general rule, but if it's the court that summons us through a subpoena that we have to produce this evidence or this working documentation or working papers that we have to shed light to an infringement suit, then we have to ensure that this will be presented in court hearing. And we don't need any more the consent coming from the client, no? Because it is now the court, okay, that already summoned us to provide, okay, this as pieces of evidence in a court hearing. So what I'm referring to, guys, is that when we are the one able to protect, okay, we're the one able to be put into the picture, we're able to be charged, and we're able to present our evidence, we can always make use of our working papers as evidence when we present that one in court hearing. So in that case, we don't need anymore the consent, okay, coming from our client. No? But in all cases, guys, when we answer questions in the SIPALE, it is always going to be the general rule that no information can be taken out without the client's consent, either oral or written. No? That's something that we have to remember. So we're not withholding the report, okay, but we can withhold our schedules that we're able to prepare as a form of enforcing payment if the client will not be able to pay us our audit fee. And remember, guys, that if the client does not pay us our audit fee, for example, in 2020, and in 2021, we're coming up with another auditor's report, okay, covering that one. We are not going to provide any opinion because there is a debtor-creditor relationship existing between you and the client for that unpaid audit fee. So remember that unpaid audit fee creates a threat to independence and that's self-interest, meaning that we cannot cover expressing an opinion if there's a relationship that able to exist between us and the client, and that is a debtor-creditor relationship, and that cannot be reduced, okay, or eliminated except, okay, not, okay, able to cover, except, okay, for the client to pay its audit fee to us, no? So meaning that it's very important that we have to also assess, okay, our relationship with the client, no? So remember that in the practice of our profession, we'll have a seal that we're going to make use of. And the seal will be taken in two circles. Now, I think the circle are formed with a smaller circle. So I'll just probably look into like this. No? So can I just try to stop sharing and then use one Word file so we can make use of the seal. So I'm using a blank Word for that we can probably find out how we can picture out a seal. Okay, can you see now the blank word at the time sharing with you right now?
Yes,
Nakikita
sir.
mo? Sige. So yung seal natin will probably be covered as I'm not good in drawing, so just try to picture out that this is going to be a circle. No? So one circle and another one big circle. I just have to erase it. I'm not good in drawing it. No? Okay, let's cover that one again. So may maliit tayong bilog. So andito yung CPA. Tapos may malaking bilog pa dyan. Andito yung name natin. Andito naman yung PIC number that will be given to us. No? So itong seal na ito, ina-attach natin siya, usually an auditor's report. So usually kasi sa sector ng education, hindi masyadong ginagamit yung seal. Government, hindi rin. Commerce, for those who will be compiling the financial statements, pero mostly, ginagamit ng seal kapag nasa public practice. No? Meaning that kapag naglagay po tayo ng seal, we're able to meet the requisite knowledge that would probably allow us to cover that particular report. So we have acquired the necessary skill to cover the engagement. So yun yung ibig sabihin ng skill. Yung sinasabing seal na sinasabi natin. No? So ito yung seal. I think ang nakalagay po doon sa small circle will be the three letters, CPA. Tapos yung name will be the intersection between that small and the big circle. And the intersection, okay, and the below that particular name would be our PIC of professional identification card number and our CPA license number. No? So stop sharing ako. Tapos balik ulit ako doon sa isang file that was not able to cover. No? So this is the seal. So it's circular in form with a smaller circle within, and in the upper portion of the space between the circles shall be engraved the name of the individual CPA, the firm, and the signing partner of the partnership, and in the middle of the smaller circle shall be engraved the letters Certified Public Accountant. So let's now talk about the organization. Okay, that is our APO here. And we're referring to the Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants. No? So it was recognized as our APO by Securities and Exchange Commission on October 2, 1975 via accreditation number 15. So this is the accreditation number 15 that gave recognition, okay, to our PICPA to be our APO, or Accredited Professional Organization. No? So what are the requirements why our PICPA was recognized by SEC as our APO? Number one, it was established for the benefit and welfare of the certified public accountants. It was able to be open for membership to all registered certified public accountants without discrimination. It is able to cover sectoral membership in the public practice, commerce industry, academic education, and government. So remember that when what PICPA wants is that we're able to have those who took the board exam or pass it to practice in any of the sectors, whether that would be public practice, whether that's part of the commerce and industry, academic, okay, or education and government. Okay, so remember that once every 3 years, after the date of resolution granting the petition for reaccreditation and the issuance of said certificate upon submission of the requirement. So we're asking PICPA to renew its accreditation every after 3 years after the date. Okay, this was provided, okay, by the SEC. No? These are the reasons why SEC may cancel the accreditation of PICPA to be our APO. So one will be number one, it has ceased to possess any of the qualifications for accreditation. Second one, it no longer serves the best interest of the certified public accountants. Third one, it did not achieve its plan to enlist into active membership within 3 years. Majority of the certified public accountants in the practice of accountancy, whether that would be commerce, public, government sector, and then education or academia. So it has committed acts inimical to its members and to the profession. It has not renewed its certificate of accreditation after a lapse of a reasonable period for the date of its scheduled renewal, and it has not submitted its financial statements. No? So that will be the grounds for SEC to not anymore renew the accreditation of PICPA to be our accredited professional organization. Remember that when we cover our accreditation in the practice of accountancy, let's get this thing taken. Okay, for example, we were able to get our accreditation today. So what is the date today? Can you give me the date today? Anybody? Okay, Bryce, what's the date today?
March 1 po.
March 1, 2023. So we're able to be given our accreditation, for example, today. So this will be valid for 3 years so that the counting will be... I'm using the law itself because there will be an update that we're going to cover later when we end the course, because I'll be giving the new updates how accreditation is now going to be counted. But how the law took it first, based on what you're looking right now, because we're looking over the provisions of the law, the implementing rules and regulations. So this is how they count it. So today is 2023, so that will be 2023, 24, 25. So meaning that the validity of your accreditation that was issued today will be until December 31, 2025. So pagbilang natin 23, 24, 25. Kahit hindi pa po natatapos yung buong taon, isang taon na yun, kasi 2023 will be counted as 1 year, 24, 25. So ibig sabihin, if you're going to practice beginning January 1, 2026, dapat po nakapag-cover tayo na renewal on or before September 30 on the year of our expiry, which is 2025. So dapat on or before September 30, 2025, we should have covered our renewal so we can cover the practice of the profession beginning January 1, 2026. No? So that's how we will be covering. So we're talking about the public practice that will also hold through with education. Kasi dalawa lang naman yung sectors that will be covering our accreditation requirement. One is public and the other one is education or academic. So example of the accreditation, the practice of our accountancy profession. If the application of the registration of ABC Company, CPH, was approved on January 8, 2022, the registration shall expire on 22, 23, 24. So it shall expire on December 31, 2024. And therefore, it shall file for renewal on or before September 30, 2024 for the 3-year period beginning January 1, 2025. No? So assuming that nabigyan tayo ng accreditation on January 8, 2022, so ang validity niya will be 22, 23, 24, hanggang December 31, 2024. And when we plan to still continue practicing our public practice, so we should probably be able to renew on or before September 30, 2024, so that we can practice beginning January 1, January 1, 2025. So these are the following registered names that we can probably make use when we have ourselves accredited in the practice of public accountancy. So first, pwede natin gamitin yung the one indicated in your CPA certificate. So for example, Juan de la Cruz. So you can probably make use of Juan de la Cruz, a short registered name. So halimbawa naman, gusto naman ni Juan de la Cruz i-cover yan as part of a trade name. So, papa-register niya with DTI. So, it would now be, for example, Juan de la Cruz and Associates. So, that would be considered a firm name already. So, assuming naman si Juan will probably be able to collaborate with the other CPs, okay, in his profession, so pwede sila magtayo ng partnership. So, for example, De La Cruz, Santos, Henson, and CPAs and CPAs, you can probably cover that as a partnership. So, pwede yung partnership name natin will have to be covered and approved by SEC. So, gagawa tayo ng articles of partnership and we have it registered with Securities and Exchange Commission. So, pwede tayong mamili whether we want it to be taken using just our name, plain name. Second one will be a firm name. So, we just have to have it registered with Department of Trade and Industry. And the third one will be, of course, able to register it with SEC. Okay, that would regulate, of course, partnerships also aside from the corporations in the Philippines. No? So ito po yung i-cover natin the practice. No? So a CPA shall practice only under an individual firm or partnership name allowed in accordance with the Philippine laws and shall not include, take note guys, we should not include fictitious name, indicate specialization or is misleading as to the type of organization, whether that will be, of course, a proprietorship or partnership. So, hindi po tayo pwede maglagay ng mga areas of specialization kasi hindi po dapat naka-indicate yan, okay, when we register or put, okay, our name. No? For example, we can probably be an expert in taxation, you're handyman in this particular area, because we have to be clear upon here, okay, that we're only just going to be putting our name as is. No? So usually, we don't market, okay, our services by putting specialization on our firm name, but we're able to get that from the recommendations that your clients may have been satisfied and recommend you to another potential client. That's where we're able to get additional clients along the way. Now, it's based on the quality of the work that you're able to perform. That would be, of course, a ground for us to get a new client because referral comes our way for a good work that we're able to do. So remember that when we are covered with a partnership, and the partnership will probably try to allow itself to be already dissolved because, for example, that all its members will now be migrating, okay, to other countries and they don't want anymore to exist as a partnership in the Philippines. So they will have to file for a voluntary withdrawal of registration, and that will probably have to cover, of course, a petition in writing. So it should be duly authenticated and signed by the individual CPA or any of his staff member. It can also be done, for example, the sole proprietorship will probably have to be dissolved. So the sole proprietor will have to prepare that petition letter, or any of the staff members for all of the partners in the partnership, or any of them or any of the staff members who are requesting for the voluntary withdrawal of registration. Actually, ang pinapatanggal mo lang doon will be kasi dito sa Philippines, meron po tayong list ng mga accredited public practitioners. So ito lang po yung mga allowed that will probably provide, of course, accounting services to us. So nakalagay po yan sa mga list ng public practitioners. So kasama din yung mga sole proprietorships at saka partnerships. But if you want your partnership to be out already from that roster, so that will probably have to be covered, of course, a voluntary withdrawal. No? So hindi po natin pinapa-remove yung mga names ng certified public accountant out from the list, but only the list of the public practitioner who can offer public practice. So kasi sa Philippines kasi may mga listahan lang po tayo na kung sino lang po pwedeng accredited public practitioner when, of course, they provide accounting services to us, more especially audit. So the board shall publish the request of the withdrawal of registration in the principal place or business of the individual CPA firm or partnership. For example, Makati. So, ipapublish dun sa Makati periodicals doon at probably ever cover. So, ibig sabihin, we allow the public to get this information that the partnership will now be planning to dissolve. If there is no opposition to the petition, the board shall recommend the approval to the commission. Upon approval, the petitioner's name shall be removed from the roll of individual CPAs, firms, and partnerships of duly registered practitioners of public accountancy, and the petitioner shall be notified in writing of the withdrawal of registration. So there's another important committee that we have to look upon. So yung unang committee na kinover na ay unang organization is the Financial and Sustainability Reporting Standards Council. Second one is the ASC. So ito yung mga na-cover na ating engagement standards. The third one that we talked about a while ago was ETC. So the Educational Technical Council. So dito papasok yung kaapat. And this is the Quality Review Committee, or we call it QRC. No? The Quality Review Committee is a body created by the Board of Accountancy. Siyempre, ang nag-approve niyan will be PRC. No? Kasi remember that our board cannot cover without the final approval of the PRC. No? Kasi si PRC naman na nag-create a Board of Accountancy. No? So to conduct an oversight into the quality of audit of financial statements through a review of the quality control measures instituted by individual CPAs, firms, or partnerships in order to ensure compliance with accounting and auditing standards and practices. PRC shall be composed of 7-member body with the chairman who had been present as senior practitioner in public accountancy, and 6 representatives from the Board of Accountancy and accredited national professional organization. So meron tayong 5 from the APO or PICPA. 2 of them will come from the ACPAP. 1 from the ACPAE or NACPAE, and then 1 from the ACPA-C, and the other one will be CACPAC. So lumalabas, pag Quality Review Committee, mas madami si ACPAP. Pag Education and Technical Council, mas marami si, of course, si Education, kasi ETC siya. Pag Quality Review Public Practice yan. No? So that will be covered. So sa Quality Review Committee, one of the functions of the QRC is to conduct quality review on applicants for registration to practice public accountancy, and then the report which shall be attached to the application for registration. It is able to recommend to the board the revocation of the COR and the PIC of an individual CPA, including any of his or her staff members, firms including the sole proprietors, and any of his or staff members. So remember that any eventuality like death or disability of an individual CPA, or dissolution or liquidation of a partnership firm or sole proprietorship shall be reported to the board not later than 30 days from the date of such death, dissolution, or liquidation. The report shall be in the form of an affidavit or by furnishing the board with a certified copy of the dissolution or liquidation papers filed with the SEC in the case of partnership. Failure to report shall be subjected to penalty. So remember guys, lahat ng mga eventuality like death, disability, or dissolution, or liquidation of a given proprietorship or partnership of CPA shall be reported 30 days and shall be taken in a written report. So it should be an affidavit, and that will probably have to be furnished to the board. So are we allowing foreign CPAs to do or conduct practice in the Philippines? The answer is yes, provided they also allow Filipino CPAs to do practice in their countries as well. So ang tawag natin doon is called foreign reciprocity, and it is covered by mutual recognition agreement or MREs. No? So meaning that we are allowing subjects or citizens of foreign countries may be allowed to practice accountancy in the Philippines in accordance with the provisions of the existing laws, international treaty obligations, including mutual recognition agreements, entered into by the Philippine government with other countries. No? So we call that one mutual recognition agreement. So we're allowing three foreign nationals, foreign CPAs to do practice in the Philippines by able to secure their temporary or special permits in the Philippines. No? So first of one will be a foreign CPA called for consultation or for a specific purpose, which in the judgment of the board is essential for the development of the country, provided that his or her practice shall only be limited for the particular work that he or she is being engaged. Provided further that there is no, sa mahalaga po, walang Filipino CPA qualified to render that consultation in the Philippines. No? So I think that will be one foreign CPA that we can call into, okay, to cover the practice initially in the Philippines. No? The second one will be a foreign CPA engaged as a professor, lecturer, or critic in fields essential to the accountancy education in the Philippines, and his or her engagement is confined to teaching only. And the third one is a foreign CPA. This internationally recognized expert or with specialization in any branch of accountancy, and his or her services is essential for the advancement of accountancy in the Philippines. So these are the penalties that we will be able to incur if ever we're not able to meet the provisions of the law. So can I just be clear that everyone should be familiar with this? Number one will be a fine of not less than 50,000 pesos, or number two, imprisonment for a period not exceeding 2 years, or both. So it does not mean that we can only cover fine nor imprisonment, but there will be instances that there will be able to cover excuse me, those who will be given penalties at the same time, okay, meted with imprisonment. No? So that's a period of not to exceed 2 years. So the second area of our discussion, okay, this morning focuses on the importance of CPD. So this is continuing professional development. It used to be called CPE before, but I think it's not only able to cover education, but we need to allow our Filipino CPAs to be developed as well. And develop means able to also cover ethical or value formation. I think marami tayong mga certified public accountants who are so good, but if you look at it, okay, some of them may probably lack, okay, the values, okay, that will probably be covered when they cover the practice. So gusto natin yung certified public accountant that is not only going to be professional but also able to be formed with values as well. No? So hindi kasi porket professional tayo, that would be a ground for us to degrade other people. No? Kasi minsan, getting the title would probably be a weapon for us to say that those who are not able to be to get the title are less, okay, are inferior to us. No? So parang pangit tingnan, no? Because I think that's not going to cover good values. No? So importante na we should probably be able to be given, okay, that particular title. Of course, with the assumption that we have to also exercise values, okay, when we cover our profession. No? So the term professional development, so mag-a-arise lang po ang CPD after you're able to be registered. So wala pong CPD development na mag-a-arise na hindi ka pa nagpaparegister as a certified public accountant. No? So pag sinabi natin CPD, ito po yung inculcation. Okay, this will also cover assimilation and acquisition of knowledge, okay, skills, proficiency, and ethical and moral values after. So important then is after we're able to be registered as a certified public accountant that raise and enhance the professional's technical skills and competence. No? So tandaan po natin that it should be taken after we're able to be registered as a certified public accountant. So what are the important objectives that we need to have, okay, for this particular requirement? Number one is that yung ating PRC-CPD Council should be there to provide and ensure the continuous education of a registered. Guys, kasi ang competence kasi natin is not only covered when we acquired it. Marami kasi nag-acquire ng knowledge pero hindi na po siya nag-grow kasi hindi na siya nag-maintain. So, ang kailangan po natin dito is one who is able to acquire the skills and maintain the skills as well. And how can you maintain the skills? I think one of the best way for that is to cover our continuing professional development. So, kailangan natin mag-attend ng mga seminars, conventions, trainings that will probably try to allow us to assimilate the new trends affecting the practice of the profession. No? So, we have to provide that one. Okay, the second one is able to raise and maintain the professional's capability for delivering professional services. Third one is to attain and maintain the highest standard. Guys, highest po. Not the minimum, but the highest standards and quality in the practice of the profession. And I think one thing that we have to remember upon with CPD is that it's able to promote the general welfare of the public. So the council that was developed or created by the board, of course, through the approval of the PRC is the CPD Council. So this is coterminous, guys, kasi lahat ng councils natin kanina, fixed term siya. One term, equivalent to 3 years, and then can be renewed for another term equivalent to 3 years. So the maximum number of terms that we can cover, okay, cover the organization will be, of course, 2 terms or equivalent to 6 years. Pero dito po, coterminous. Habang hawak mo yung position mo, you're going to be part of the CPD Council. No? So example, okay, ito po yung mga members ng ating CPD Council. So it is composed of a chairperson and 2 members. So it's a 3-member body. So yung chairperson natin should be chosen from among the members of the board. So by the members themselves. So sila namimili kung sino yung nagiging chairman, okay, ng chairperson ng ating CPD Council from amongst the members of the board. And the first member that will cover the council will be a president or in his or her capacity, any officer chosen by the board of directors of PICPA. So this will be coming from the PICPA or our APO. And the second member should be a president or in his or her capacity, any officer of the organization of deans or department heads of schools, colleges, and universities offering the degree requiring licensure examination. So ito po yung CPD Council that we have to at least remember. So this is created by the board. Okay, of course, it's composed of 3 members. And the chairperson should be the member of the board chosen by the board, okay, members themselves. No? Saka we have the 2 members coming from the PICPA and coming from the Association of Deans in the Philippines. So these are the powers and functions that will have to be remembered upon when you talk about the CPD Council. So number 1, we're able to accept, evaluate, and approve applications for accreditation of CPD providers. So we're able to accept, evaluate, and approve applications for accreditation of CPD programs, activities, or sources as to their relevance to the profession, and determine the number of CPD credit units to be earned on the basis of the contents of the program. So we have to cover that one. activity or source submitted by the CPD providers. Second one will be accepting, evaluating, and approving applications for exceptions from CPD requirements, and then monitor the implementation by the CPD providers of their programs, activities, or sources. No? So it's also able to assess periodically and update criteria for the accreditation of CPD providers and CPD programs, activities, or sources, and also perform such other related functions that may be incidental to implementation of the CPD programs or policies. So ito po yung pwede natin pagpilian. Okay, that will probably try to cover our practice. No? So una will be seminars. I think that's a common thing. Okay, we're able to attend seminars. I think before, para ma-earn mo yung 120 CPD units na required para sa accredit. Actually, 15 lang ang required kapag magpaparenew kayo ng license. So kung nasa sector ka ng government at nasa sector ka ng commerce and industry, you don't need to cover accreditation. But for sectors of public and education, you need 120 CPD units for you to cover the practice. So lalabas dito, pag uma-attend kasi tayo ng seminars ngayon, pero right now, bumalik na ulit yung face-to-face seminar. So, ibig sabihin na an 8-hour seminar will cover 8 CPD units. Pero dati, nung meron pa rin naman ngayon, yung mga online seminars, no? Sa pag umattend ka ng mga, halimbawa, 8, from 10:30 to 12, you're only going to get, 1.5 credit units, or from 8 to 11, isang kalahati lang binibigay ng credit unit, 1.5. Tapos para ma-earn mo yung 120, you need around 80 seminars for you to earn para ma-meet mo yung 120 CPD units na required para mag-accredit po kayo. No? So, napakadaming seminars. And what I want, the board to consider is that sana yung mga PRCs at least to cover more seminars, more yung mga newly covered approaches sa mga pag-cover natin sa mga updates, no? Kasi parang lumalabas kasi sa mga seminars natin parang sila din nagko-cover ng mga trainings all throughout. Pag uma-attend ka, parang there's nothing new that would probably affect the seminar. So we want more choices, more providers to enter the picture para at least we can select the best seminar that we can probably able to have, no? At sana bawasan ng konting fee, no? Kasi ang laki din gastusin, on the part of the certified public accountant to cover this, seminars. Actually, tayo ang pinakamataas in terms of accreditation, from the other professions that I probably have seen or able to get information. So, pwede tayong attend ng conventions, pwede kayo mag-cover ng masteral degree nyo, doctoral degree, you can probably cover authorship, you can cover SDL. So, ang self-directed learning package, ito yung mga hindi dumaan, pero pwede natin pa-approve, sa PRC, whether they can be covered as an SDL. Kasi dapat maipasok yan kung anong competency level ang papasukan yan kasi meron tayong tatlong competence level that we will be talking about. No? We can also cover postgraduate or in-service training. We can also be a resource speaker. We can be a peer reviewer as well or CPD provider. So we have to talk about those CPD programs, activities, or sources. No? Meaning that there's one law that we have to at least look upon. So this is the second law that will affect our practice. The first is the Republic Act 9298. The second one is the Republic Act 10912. So this is known as the Continuing Professional Development Act of 2016. So this is an act mandating and strengthening the continuing professional development program for all regulated professionals, creating the Continuing Professional Development Council, and appropriating funds, therefore, and for other related purposes. So remember that Republic Act 10912, which is our Continuing Profession Development Act of 2016, for renewal of PIC or Professional Identification Card, okay, we need only 15 credit units to cover that. Okay, exempted naman dyan will be a professional working overseas, or we have the OFWs for that matter. At saka yung newly licensed professionals for the first renewal cycle after obtaining their CPA license. So in your case, if you're going to pass this October 2023 exam, okay, then able to meet it. So for after you're able to be registered 3 years after, you're going to be accepted for your first renewal. Pero sa second renewal mo na, you have to meet already that, okay, the requirements of 15 credit units, no? Unless otherwise you're going to cover the sectors of public practice and education within 120 CPP units, no? So for those who will be accrediting themselves in those two sectors covering public practice and education academic, all certified public accountants shall undertake 120 credit units for 3 years. So 1 credit hour of CPD program or activity or source shall be equivalent to 1 credit unit. So meron po tayong tatlong competence areas that we can probably look upon para mag-cover tayo ng ating CPD. No? So yung unang competence or competence area A, so ito yung technical competence. So ito yung mag-cover ng mga standards applicable to the professional practice. So we need 30 credit units to cover that competence area. For competence area B, so ang tawag naman natin that will be the professional skills. So this will cover professional development activities that enhance the CPA's intellectual, interpersonal communication, personal and organizational skills. So that will be 5 credit units. And then, of course, the third one relates to the professional ethics, values, and attitudes. So that will be 5 credit units as well. So pag inad mo yan, okay, 40 will be the parang yun yung fixed. Tapos meron ka pang 80 na difference para ma-meet mo yung 120. Yung 80 kasi magiging flexible na siya. Kasi minimum requirement is 40. Pag na-meet mo yung 40, pwede mo nang mag-cover ng dependent if you want more seminars on the professional values. You may attend more seminars on that. Pero dapat pag-meet siya sa 120, that will be 80 flexible CPD units. No? So in your case, pwede kayo mamili if you want to get more seminars on competence level A, competence level B, or level C. No? So in this case, we have 120 CPD units for our accreditation. So ito po yung temporary exempted. Okay, so those practicing, okay, his or her profession or furthering his or her studies abroad, provided that he has been out of the country for at least 2 years immediately prior to the date of renewal. So halimbawa, out of the country kayo, you're doing your studies abroad. So you have to at least file for, of course, okay, a waiver that will probably cover that you'll be temporarily exempted to cover the accreditation requirement for part of the CPD. So clear po tayo? Okay. So can I just request everyone to turn on the webcam so we can probably try to allow everyone to ask questions as regards okay, areas of discussion we have for today. No? Tapos we're just going to wrap it up, okay, with of course another lesson that we will be talking about next week. No? So next week parang code of ethics tayo, pero pwede ko nang sinitan siya ng ng responsibility standards. Kasi kung titingnan natin, we should also be taking already the ethical framework today. Pero parang feeling ko, we have to at least talk about more on the legal bago tayo mag-ethical, no? Kasi parang mas maraming binibigay na tanong ngayon sa legal, no? Okay? Pero at any rate, we have to also be clear about the fact that we have to know the ethical framework of the profession as well. So dito natin pag-uusapan yung mga principles or ethical principles like yung topic. Nakakanda niyo pa ba yung topic natin? So professional competence, objectivity, professional behavior, integrity, and confidentiality as well. No? So, good tayo. So, I just want to find out if there are questions that may arise with anyone as regards, okay, the lecture we did for this morning. So, may mga areas of clarification ba na gusto nyo i-provide? So, you can probably try to raise hand and unmute your microphone so we can probably hear that. Okay, meron na ba tayong assessment dates kung kailan tayo magka-cover ng mga examination natin? Wala pa. Wala pa binibigay na calendar na kung kailan tayo magka-cover. Parang feeling ko sa atin, parang meron tayong 2 quizzes, tama ba, before, tapos isang major exam which is the midterm, tapos 2 ulit, tapos finals, tapos dapat 50-50 yata o 60-40. Hindi ko alam kasi yung nangyari last time, no? Kung 50-50 or 40-60. Pero parang feeling ko 50-50. 50 for the first half and 50 for the second half. Parang lalabas yung 50% mo will be the 2 assessment and 50% will be the major exam that you're going to take. No? Okay? So, tandaan po natin if we're taking a 2-hour exam, the number of questions I'll be giving out will be 70. Tama ba? Pag 2 hours, no? Pag 3 hours yan, that will be 100. No? So, tinitingnan lang natin kung 3 oras yung examination nyo o 2 oras lang. Okay, i-cover. Pag 2 oras, 70. No? So, we'll be asking you to at least answer 70 questions covering those areas of discussion. No? So, ipa-follow natin yung ating syllabus na kung ano yung nakalagay dyan na modules, hindi na magiging coverage ang topic natin. Except for the fact na kapag nagpo-quiz tayo, cumulative. Ibig sabihin, kahit tapos ko na yung topic, this will not hinder me from asking questions over those topics kasi dapat continuing ang knowledge natin. Hindi pwede mag-stop lang yan tapos bagong topic na naman, hanggang doon ka lang sa bagong mag-cover. So, pwede ako magbigay ng mga old topics para kasama doon sa assessment okay, na ibibigay ko. Pero pag sinabi natin pre-board, lahat ng topics yan. Okay? Pag final pre-board, lahat na ng topics okay, sa SIPALE. No? So that will cover everything from the first topic we took up to the last topic we're going to take up. Okay, by, ewan ko kung matatapos na ng May. May ba tayo? Okay? Kasi January, February, March, April. So parang mga May tayo matatapos kasi may Holy Week na 1 week. Tama ba? Hindi. Kasi nag-start tayo, hindi pala January, February na pala. Last week lang pala tayo nag-start. No? Nakabuti pa na ng June. Tama ba? Okay, may question po ba? Parang may gusto magtanong para we can probably try to allow the remaining minutes of the time to answer questions. Kung po kayo mahiya, although it's recorded, tayo lang naman yan. Tama ba? Okay, wala kayong gustong tanungin? Asa si Bryce? Ayan, Winsal. Okay, so you will raise. Okay, yes, Winsal.
Sir, i-upload po ba yung PPT? Meron kasi sir na hindi nagbabangga dun sa handouts.
Alin?
Yung PPT po, i-upload po ba?
Ano nang
Yung PowerPoint po sir, i-upload po ba sa
Okay, mag-upload ako, sige, for your benefit, okay, for the benefit of others, para meron sila nagulog ako. Kasi sa face-to-face, they have to at least monitor. At least, di ba dapat by this time, okay, nag-screenshot na rin kayo ng mga files when we probably hold it. Nakapag-screenshot na kayo? Sino nakapag-screenshot ng mga importante PowerPoint files? Do you do that practice o wala? Nakikinig lang kayo basically? Ikaw, Wilson, ang ginagawa mo?
Sinasabay ko po sa handout sir kasi meron kasing hindi bumabangga sir.
O, kasi dapat binabasa mo yung provision. Hindi mo kailangan yung handout, kalagay lahat ng mga sasabihin ko. Diba? You have to be resourceful. Kasi binigay ko naman din yung IRR ng Republic Act. So, doon mo babanggain. Hindi dyan sa handout ko lang. Okay? So, tanda lang natin yung handout will only just be a basis for you to find out what exactly will be covered. Pero hindi necessarily to be covered, okay, area by area. Dapat nandun lahat. Ha? Okay? So, try to at least use the other files shared with you so that you can probably try to reconcile okay, where those okay, lapses are coming o kung yung gaps na wala doon sa mga binabanggit ko. Okay? That's being proactive. Okay? Sige. I-upload ko naman yan. I'm just picturing out kung ano yung mga files that I will probably be able to cover. No? Kasi I just also want everyone to be aware that this is a review, so therefore there must have been materials that you have already in the past that probably supplemented it. Pero since sabi nyo nga, kulang-kulang, so upload ko yan siguro. It's starting last week, hindi ko natapos last week. I'll upload that one for your benefit as well. No? Okay. No? But if we have quizzers that I can probably make use of, kapag masyado may clear yung topic, I'll make use of the quizzers para at any point matadagdagan yung learning process mo. So katulad next week, I may probably provide a quizzer that we can probably make use of to collaborate with one another, answering the quizzer. Na para at any point nakikita niyo yung mga important points of reference that we need to take into account when we cover the topic. No? Okay. Sige, ano pa? Other than that, so PPT will be covered. Ano section po ito ulit? Price, ano section kayo? W6? Tama ba ako?
W6 po.
W6, sige. Pero kahit naman, both sections, lalagay ko na rin yung kahit face-to-face kasi lugin naman yung face-to-face kapag kayo lang yung may PowerPoint. No? So they should also have the same PowerPoint as well. Para ko lang kung ano laman ng module nyo with their modules. No? Okay. Other than that, sige pa, may question po ba other than the one requested by Winsal? Okay. Meron po ba? Wala na? Everyone is able to get the topics okay covered by these frameworks, no? Okay, by this framework pala, isa lang pala framework natin, legal. No? So I will be asking more questions of this when we have our first assessment. Okay, sa Panagquiz 1 kayo, marami akong tanong dito, more on the number of members, yung mga ganun-ganun. Okay? And also, remember guys, yung sa first handout natin, yung mga organizations, I think that's very important, yung mga PRC, SEC, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Okay, so try to read on them again so that you have an idea how many members will be covered or appointed okay, to cover these important organizations regulating our practice as well. No? Not only the PRC, but also able to have an influence on the professional practice. No? Katulad ng SEC, BSP, COA, lahat yan may mga influence on the practice of our profession. No? So if there will be no questions, I call it a day for everyone. I'll get the last screenshot for that today at the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Another 1, 1, 2, 3 for everyone. Okay, if there will be no questions, I call it a day for everyone. Okay, good day everyone. You may now leave okay, the Google Meet meeting and we're going to see each other then next week. Uploading all the files, okay, hopefully within okay, the day or tomorrow. Bye everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.